The Torah tells us that, unfortunately, if a person does not follow in the ways of the Torah, if a person looks at the mitzvahs that are disgusting, and even the mitzvahs that he does understand, he feels that they're loathsome to him, and then he doesn't do them, and then bad things will happen. As you know, people who've been following my shiurim, I became a big fan of the Sefer HaJush for Ha'ir Tzvi. Who wrote the Sefer HaJush for Ha'ir? The Reisha Rav, with Aaron Levine. Tzvi, I think you've been...
I've been out for a while.
Yeah, you've been out for a while, but welcome back. Thank you. And he says a very nice touch of the pasuk. I mean, it's not nice, it's a terrible thing, but it's nice the way how he shows us how to run the words of the pasuk. A person that wants to, unfortunately, be cast off from upon himself the yoke of Torah mitzvahs, unfortunately, he starts off in the lower level, and then he ends up going, unfortunately, very low. First, a person says to himself, you know what? I'm going to do the mitzvahs that I understand. The mitzvahs that to me make no sense, I'm not going to do that. That's hinted to in the pasuk. Because what happens with that? You end up throwing it out altogether. In Bechukosi, a person says to himself, I'm going to keep the mitzvahs that I understand. But the chukim, that I'm not going to do. The chukim, the mitzvahs that we don't understand, that I'm not going to do. I'm going to do mitzvahs that I understand. But mitzvahs that I don't agree with, don't sit right with me, God will understand. I can't do things that don't make sense to me. Now, that argument is flawed for several reasons, but you know what else is flawed with that reason? Once you get used to not doing the mitzvahs, you know what happens unfortunately afterwards? Write what it says afterwards. You know what happens when you're timasu the Bechukosi? If you know Hebrew, this word's better, but I'll try to make it suitable for my English listeners. After you feel that the mitzvahs that you don't understand, those are loathsome to you. You know what happens afterwards? Even the mishpatim, even the mitzvahs that you do understand, once you get used to just not doing mitzvahs, then you, unfortunately, don't do those mitzvahs either. Why is that? The end of the pasuk. Because the whole purpose of why you had this excuse in the first place was only because of one reason only, the end of the pasuk. Levilti asos as kol mitzvosai lahafachem etprisi. What you're trying to do, unfortunately, is throw off upon yourself the cast of doing any mitzvahs. So the Yitzhahara says to yourself, you know what? I'm a good Jew. I'm going to do mitzvahs that I understand. Mitzvahs I don't understand, those I want to. Unfortunately, it's not going to work. Because once you get used to once you get rid of the mitzvahs that you don't understand, it just goes down, and then you end up getting rid of the mitzvahs that even you understood before, but the Yitzhahara gets to you, and then you end up throwing it out altogether. Let's be zeicher to understand this word and to realize that we don't understand everything, and we have to do whatever we are supposed to do, whatever the Torah tells us, and therefore we get into the idea of doing all the Torah and all the mitzvahs. A good job.